What's going on, everyone? It's Corey here from the Breakevens, giving you another AFL Supercoach video today. A couple of days ago, we had the rookie dump video. Today, I bring you the mid-price dump video, which I talk about five mid-price players that not everyone is talking about, or players that might be going under the radar but could be good selections, or reasons why they might not be good selections. It should be a little bit shorter than the rookie dump video. Anyway, so before we get into that, don't forget you can find me on X at BreakevensPod, on Facebook, The Breakevens, and here on YouTube, The Breakevens. Like, follow, and subscribe on all those social media platforms for daily AFL Supercoach content up to round one. Also, if you're here on YouTube and you haven't watched any of the other videos, make sure you go check those out. A whole bunch of information that will help you make all the tough decisions. So go check those out. And lastly, the Breakevens AFL Supercoach Open League is open here for you to join. If you want to join, use code 266136. Again, that is 266136. Awesome. Let's get into the mid-price dump video. So first, we're going to have James Sicily, 532.9k defender. Now, last season was not what we wanted from Sick Dog, especially early on. With all of Hawthorn's defensive injuries, he basically had to play a lockdown role and be isolated. So usually he plays on one of the better defenders. We know that, but he's usually quite good at getting those intercept marks and whatnot. Wasn't quite there early on. We saw a little bit of that towards the end of the season, but definitely wasn't what we were expecting from James Sicily. So what has changed for season 2025? Well, Hawthorn have gone out and picked up Josh Battle and Tom Barrass. So Battle's come over from St Kilda and Barrass from West Coast, two big key defenders. What this means is James Sicily could be freed up and potentially could be playing on the second or third best defender, which means there's a little bit more opportunity for him to roam and intercept, sort of like what Tom Stewart does very well. And if he can do that, we know he can average 105 plus. He could even average 110 plus. But those two guys will be the key. And if they stay fit, Sicily could have a great season. Now, on the other hand, we've heard that he's been training up forward. So there is a possibility that he might play forward in games, which is not what we want. Do I think he's going to be full-time forward? No, I think he's going to be 90% in defense this season. But depending on injuries or the game situation, he might be chucked forward. So that does hinder his scoring output just a little bit. And it is something to be wary of and to keep an eye on. I think he starts in defense in round zero because they have the round zero game. I think he does start there. And obviously he plays in round zero, so he has an early bye. So make sure if you are wanting to select James Sicily, you just check your bye structure and your players there. And to finish off, it is a high risk for a high reward. Just need to hope he doesn't play forward too much. Next up is Harry Perryman, 417.5k defender, has gone from GWS over to Collingwood, the Mighty Pies. We're uncertain on his role, but it does look like it's pointing more towards midfield. Is it going to be a full-time midfield role? I don't think so. If the team is fully fit. So Jordan De Goey's had a niggle or two here. Tom Mitchell is past it, but again, he's got those injury niggles. So especially if De Goey's out, I think Perryman will play full-time mid, or higher mid-time than expected. And with De Goey in the team, I still think he gets a good rotation of 50 to 60% through there. And then when he's not in the midfield, I think he might be in defense. So him and Chris might do like a rotation, or him and Dacos potentially. And of course, Old Man Pendles will still get some mid time, but it won't be a whole lot. You'd think they just go, mate, you're an absolute legend. Chill on the halfback, make sure everyone's in the right positions, use your vision and your skills there. Don't worry about getting banged up in the middle. So, with Perryman, though, at 417K, it is a very awkward price. And what that means is if you do pick him and he starts poorly, you have to try and scramble to find money to go up to a premium, or which is slightly easier, but it's harder to pick the right players, go down. Now, if you're starting Callum Mills, you got to skip past him. And then you're looking at an Ari Schoenmaker, who I will speak about very, very shortly, who we are unsure what his scoring output could be. I'm thinking around 70, 75. He could do less, he could do more. There's a lot of risk there. And then you got Kitty Coleman, who is coming back from an ACL. So what's he going to be like? What's his output going to be like early? So it is a little bit of a grey area. So picking Perryman, you are picking him thinking he's going to go around 95 to 100. And then potentially use him as a stepping stone. If he exceeds that and is looking like going 105, then he becomes a keeper, which is best case scenario. What is his ceiling? What is his floor? His floor, I think, with the role he's going to have, I think, those poor games are going to be around an 80 to 85, which you can deal with that, if it's here and there. His ceiling, I think he doesn't get too much over 130. I think he's going to be that nice 110 to 120 consistent scorer when he does score well. In those blowout games are going to be about 130, but I'm thinking, yeah, maybe even 100 to 110. Actually, I think that's where he's going to be in, and then 120 to 130 will be the biggest scores. So, obviously, it's not the biggest ceiling in my opinion, but it should be pretty consistent. So, do I think Perryman is a selection? Probably not for Classic. If he does start off like a house on fire, then you can pivot to him after their bye, which is round 3. That's when they share it with Brisbane, Sydney, and someone else, Geelong. So I don't think start. He's a spicy pick. So if you want a little bit of spice, go for it. But don't forget, it is an awkward price. And if it doesn't work out, you have to go down. You're not picking a great selection of players, and it's a lot harder to go up. So see what the team's doing, see what his role is. Practice games should give it, somewhat of an indication of what is going to happen and what his output could be. Up next, we do have Ari Schoenmaker, who I spoke about just with the Perryman news. So 270.5K defender. This is a guy I've been big on all pre-season. Josh Battle gone. He's been in the system for a couple of years. He's a great intercept mark. He's a great kick. And he's someone that they could really use and utilize in that St Kilda defense. But then that's sort of cool because you got Miller down there. You've got Jack Sinclair going back on the halfback. They're going to be the main distributors. Does that hinder Schoenmaker's output? Yes. Do I think he's going to go absolutely ballistic? No. But the good news is, I guess, is Dougal Howard is going to miss the first 2 to 3 months with a shoulder. So he popped his shoulder out, and it's going to be a 2 to 3 month recovery. which I think means Showmaker goes straight into that side. So is he best 22 at the start of the season? I'm going to say yes, he is. If we can get him for the first, 6 rounds and he scores well, then that would be great. I have already touched on he's going to intercept mark and a kick. He won't be playing a lockdown role. He'll be playing that second to third best forward role. And look, I can see a world where he goes at an 85 average. More realistically, is probably 75, 80, in my opinion. And at a cheaper price, you do have Kitty Coleman, who is like 1.5K cheaper. So who would you prefer? Would you prefer Kitty Coleman? Would you prefer Schoenmaker? If Coleman is fully fit and ready to go, obviously Coleman, in my opinion, is the better pick. But if anything happens to Coleman and you are looking for a cheaper player, I do like Ari Schoenmaker. Next up is Toby Conway from Geelong, 343.1k ruckman. The reason I've put him here is because early on in preseason, there was news that he might be taking the number one ruck. It looks like Scott has sort of figured out that Reece Stanley is crap, right? That's me putting it nicely. He's crap. He doesn't bring anything to the team. He looks slow. He looks dopey. Toby Conway is a big bodied guy. He is ready to go straight in. Does he play as a number one ruck? I think he will at times. I don't think he will be locked in that main ruck role. There is the next player who I will be talking about in Sam De Koning. He's sort of lately been hinted at that person going for the number one ruck. They did it last season. He was serviceable, but I think he will struggle against your big rucks like your Gawn and Grundys, Shrek Darcy's, people like that. So he might struggle there. So maybe Conway comes in for those games, sort of like what Carlton do with Tom De Koning, where Gawn and co usually tower over him. So they bring in Mark Pittonet just to try and even the odds. They could definitely do something like that with Toby Conway. He's still pretty fresh to the system, though. Yes, he's a mature age guy, but he hasn't played a whole bunch of AFL football. We know AFL is a big step up to VFL and the other leagues. So I don't think he'll be terrible. I just think it's going to take him a little bit to get used to the pace of AFL, the hardness of the AFL, and going toe to toe with your Gawns and Grundys and those like Nankervis, Big Nank the Tank. So I don't think he is the greatest option for Geelong, but they have, as I said, they got Reece Stanley or Sam De Koning. So Conway should see some game time throughout this season, you would think. Is he best 22? Not unless, as I've said, potentially that bigger bodied ruck as the opposition he comes in. He's at a very risky price at 343k. You can't reach any of the primo guys. Do you have him as your flex? I don't think the scoring's there for the flex, so I don't think that will work. So if you're going to pick him, he'll be your R2, and then if he doesn't start early and you're basically playing a ruck down, how are you going to get to like a Tom De Koning, a Shrek Darcy, who are the cheaper options, but they're still 200k away? That is basically going Cam Mills down to a rookie price player just to fit in a primo ruck. So I don't think Conway is a selection for Classic. He could be someone to nice to have on a draft bench potentially. But I've put him down because there was a chance he would be playing number one ruck, but that looks unlikely. Next is Sam DeConning, his teammate, 361.9k as a defender. So we could potentially have a defender ruck. Um, as I said, rumors that he's ahead of Conway for the number one ruck role. He is a lighter frame, so he will need to put on some more kgs. Um, he has scored well in the role before last year. I think there was a couple tons in a row, one against his brother as well. Pretty sure they both like went off that game in super coach wise. But he's not, his role security is not there. He could play ruck for the first three games and then be pushed back into defense where his scoring will be hindered massively. So it might work for two to three rounds here, but then you cop two to three more bad scores, and then he's up again, then he's back down, or maybe it goes terribly wrong at the start and he just gets stuck in defense. Then again, it's an awkward price at 361k, especially as a defender. Um, are you going to go in with him and Mills, or are you just going to choose one between them? Um, I'm not sure, but it is a very risky pick, very risky price. As I said, with Conway, very hard to go up to those primo guys. You'll have to go down to a rookie. So do I think he is a good selection? I'm going to say no, just because I think you got Callum Mills for that's around the same price, who could have the same or better output than DeConning, even if he does play ruck. And you got Schoenmaker there, who I think can still average serviceably at about 100k cheaper. Well, actually, probably it's about 135k cheaper anyway. And then you have Kitty Coleman there. So I don't think Sam DeConning is one you should try and target. If you're one of the riskier super coach players, then I can see it. But realistically, I don't think Sam DeConning is him. But again, could be a good draft option. And the last player today is Ned Moyle, 462.1k ruckman for Gold Coast, similar to Conway and DeConning. There's rumors that Jared Witts might not be the number one ruck coming into this season, and Ned Moyle would be the guy to take over. Do I think this is going to happen? No. I think Witts stays as the number one ruck, but if he gets injured for a long period of time, Ned Moyle will come straight in. He has played a few games for Gold Coast where he has looked pretty decently. So it's not like you're going in with like a Conway who is really fresh. Moyle's had some exposure. He's apparently worked on his aerobic capacity, so he's getting around the ground a little bit easier. He is a big-bodied guy. He will be relying on those ruck taps to advantage to score points. At 462k, it's a very awkward price. Not as awkward as Conway or DeConning, but it is still slightly awkward. But it is only 60 to 100k up to DeConning, Darcy, Meek, and the likes. So not too bad, but I do think they will stick with Jared Witts just one more year if he stays fit. So I don't think 2025 is year of Ned Moyle. I think 2026 could be the year where we have a good look at him. So once again, probably not going Moyle. It is a huge risk, and I'm not ready to take on that risk. So some people out there might be, but I personally am not. So that's going to do it. So Sicily, Perryman, Schoenmaker, Conway, SDK, and Moyle. gone through those guys. I don't think any of them are starter picks. I think all the mid price starters, um, the information is out there and well known. I'm doing player profiles on all of them, so make sure you check all of those out. Um, that is going to do it for tonight's video. So make sure you follow me on X at BreakevensPod, on Facebook, The Breakevens, and here on YouTube, The Breakevens. Like, follow, and subscribe on all those social media platforms. Go check out any other videos you may have missed. And the Breakevens AFL Supercoach League. The code is 266136 to join. Again, that is 266136. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thank you all again for watching and listening. And until then, it's bye for now.